So how do we come to the conclusion that there is only one consciousness, like each people having their own consciousness or just one?
Yes, yes. You cannot arrive to the conclusion that there is one consciousness via the mind. In other words, there is no scientific experiment that can be performed that can establish that there is one reality, that there is one consciousness. Because from the onset of any such experimentations, there is going to be the assumption that there is a consciousness that is conducting an experiment. And so right from the onset, there is a flaw in the model. What we refer to as the mind is a combination of an internal sense of an internality and a sense of externality that comes simultaneously. So from the mind's perspective, the very the very significance of the mind is dualistic. So the mind starts with is a sense of objectivity, assumed objectivity, and a perceived and assumed objective, internal objectivity and external objectivity. And from the mind's point of view, there is an internal reality and an external reality. The world is real, and me, the mind superimposes the me onto consciousness. So consciousness, from the mind's point of view, is me, not the self, not Ramana's self or the I of I am, not that, but the me. So it confuses consciousness with the me, and therefore there are numerous me's, and they're real from the points of view. They are all multiple realities, and also the mind acknowledges a higher reality, the reality of God, but acknowledges this reality as both as the ultimate reality, but also as at the service of the personal reality. That God will acknowledge me from my good deeds and take me to paradise, or take me to nirvana, or take me to heaven. So it's a trick, it's a shadow game of, yes, I recognize the reality of God, but also recognize my reality, and your reality, and your reality, and your reality. So coming back to your question, how do we speak about one reality, and how do we know there is one reality? We know there is one reality from a deep intuition we have, that there is one reality. That intuition is not inherited from our mother or school or from our teachers or from reading the scientific journals. It's innate. Also, if there were three realities, what would know that there are three realities. Something would need to know that, because in order to publish
Communicate.
that there are three realities, I have discovered that there are three realities: reality A, reality B, reality C. The I that has discovered those three realities, that perceives those three realities, must be, yes. So if you sort of like, just sort of play with that a bit and say, just from, there is a higher logic that sort of pokes holes into the notion that there are multiple realities. The other, example that Francis often refers to is like, if there are two realities, of course, meaning two separate realities. Because if they're not separate, then they're one reality. So when we say there are multiple realities, we're saying there are multiple separate realities. If there are two separate realities, reality A and reality B, how would they communicate? If they do communicate, then there must be something that connects them, that joins them. And as soon as they're actually connected, where would you say this reality ends and this reality starts, you see? So it's, again, another sort of reasoning argument to just poking holes at the notion that there are multiple realities. But above all, we know that intuitively. We know intuitively that there is one reality. And that what we perceive, if you look at this, and it's always in this present eternal reality, you're always perceiving your perception. Right now you're perceiving your perception. Where is your perception? Is your perception out there? Is your perception 1 foot away from you, or 8 inches away from you? Or, you see what I mean? So you come to realize that I'm experiencing my experience. Whether it's a perception, sensation, thought, whatever it is, I am perceiving my perception. And my perception is intimate with me. It's not, I am not here and my perception is in my car, or is upstairs, or is to my right. So when you contemplate that your perception and you that is aware of this perception, are one, then the whole concept of externality comes home. So if there is no externality, but you can apply that to anything, you're always experiencing your experience. When you experience this perception, you're experiencing your perception. You're perceiving your perception. You're always perceiving your perception. You're perceiving your perception, whether it's in the form of a thought or a bottle or a sensation. Always perceiving your perception. Your perception is intimately yourself. So then externality comes home. If there is no externality, then how can we talk of another reality? In order for there to be a second reality, there has to be some form of externality. Even the thought that says there is an external reality, that very thought is intimately experienced internally as consciousness itself. But just coming back to your question, from the mind, you cannot prove that. So there has to be a certain interest in the question. When somebody has an interest in the question, not just to argue, but there is a genuine interest in the question, there is an openness. And from that openness, the light of understanding can come through that openness. But when we rigidly are sticking with the mind and we want some sort of geometric or scientific proof that proves that, show me the studies that, here it is, on page 400, it's concluded there is one consciousness or there are four consciousnesses, then it's an argumentative quality of the mind.
That's one of those